All right.
wondering now.
I think we're ready.
Okay. Okay, if I could, I'd like to call this meeting to order for June 26, 2024 for the Sturgis Public Library. Approval of the minutes. Have you had a chance to look them over?
I have, and I move to approve.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, it is seconded and approved, and that passes. We will go on to financial reports.
All right. Nothing much to report on. We did get a donation from the Kiwanis for summer reading, $400, so that was great. I think that's sort of the big one. We're still trying to keep costs down, so we're limiting purchases outside of books and processing supplies to get the books ready to go out. Sierra has raised enough money to cover the summer reading program. So that's, all those are coming out of Memorial Miscellaneous because that's where the donations went into. So that's paying for itself. So that's great. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about it? Yeah.
I just noticed the meetings, May 29th meeting, it doesn't show me as being present.
Right, because you weren't in the system yet. And so I was,
Here, but not,
right,
not officially.
yes. Yes, we can,
Hope you didn't vote on anything.
That's not a big deal, it's just, I just noticed if we were gonna
right.
approve the
Yeah, because all that is preloaded in to the minute software. And so can we change that retroactively?
No.
Okay, so then I'll be able to go in and,
And you can upload
I mean,
Chris
if I-
minutes
if I was
with the information.
accused of murder and then they did.
okay, and I will do that.
Alibi.
Alibi.
We vouch for you, Jim.
Yeah, we got you
Thank
back.
you, ladies.
So we will go in and change that on the backside. You're right, I neglected to mention that, but yeah.
And you can actually upload, Chris, a Word document into the minutes, replacing what the system writes, so I can show you how to do that.
Okay.
If you want to edit, if you would like to make a motion to say, please add Jim Thompson to the minutes, we can make that
Okay.
motion.
That would be, one of you guys would need to do that. You are actually in the minutes,
I remember.
so that's good, but
Yeah.
you're not listed as official. So if somebody wants to move to amend the minutes to replace Becca Zerbst with Jim Thompson,
Man,
Do I have a second?
okay.
you are. My apologies, I added him to the elected official, or the officials group, but I didn't think to put him on the, so I've not fixed it.
Yeah, and I was gonna talk to you about that and
We're good, I got it.
spaced it, so we're all good.
Oh,
So,
did you say-
do we
okay.
need to vote on?
All those in favor of letting Jim become a member of this prestigious group, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, congratulations.
It's now official.
Yeah,
Welcome aboard.
okay. So, are we still looking at the financial reports? Chris?
Yes, if anybody has any questions. I can.
Any questions? Okay, all those in favor, do we need to? Okay, a motion on accepting the financial reports, please. One,
So moved?
Second.
okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes then.
All right.
Financial reports are approved. Director's report.
Alrighty. Numbers are pretty consistent, so far through the year as far as all of our stats. We talked about the donation. We do, need to thank Kelly and Otto and also, Deb and Jim Holland for donating a popcorn machine, which does work
You're welcome.
and makes delicious popcorn.
Good.
And there is a
Glad.
thank you coming. I don't know if everybody signed it yet. I was gonna bring it
Oh.
today, but I didn't hear it.
For the
That's on a
kids.
need-to-know basis. Yeah, it's in the programming room. I'll show you how to use it if you get hungry.
Good try.
Thought that'd be a good place to stop before we come to the meeting.
That
Well,
might be.
true. Get the microphone greasy, though.
Sorry, oh, I'm supposed to turn it on.
Oh, well, yeah, you should have it on, but you'll get it greasy if you have popcorn fingers,
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
we
But,
wouldn't want that.
yeah, so that's great. We used it for the movie night, and we used it the other day just because I'm trying to learn how to use it, and so
Good,
had to measure out things and see if I had the ratios right, so.
Oh, yeah.
good deal. Okay.
Well, and yeah, and I'll see how easy it is to clean and all that stuff. So, yeah, it was good. So yeah, thanks a whole lot for that. I think that's going to be great. The next month, Kat Thompson, is Kat related to you?
She's not.
Oh, okay. She's doing a display for July. Elizabeth will take her stuff down here in
The author.
a couple of days. Yes, yeah, author and artist, yeah. And standard meetings, the summer reading program stuff is going really well. We're just about halfway through, and numbers have been good. We had, probably 15 plus on Tuesday when Dick Termes came to talk about polyhedrons and how all those work. And he has this really cool VR goggles that actually take you inside a thermosphere.
Oh, wow.
So instead of looking at it from the outside, it's basically inverted, so you can look and you can see the whole thing from the inside.
He has available at the store.
I don't know if he does or not. I know he takes it out to when he does stuff with kids. I think he also, when they did an exhibit in Brookings, I think they had it there
That's a good idea.
to use. But I said, so basically, this is what you think of when you make this stuff, right? He said, yeah. So he kind of thinks of what it's like to be on the inside, then he uses his geometry to flip it around. So that's pretty cool. But so a lot of kids there, and so that was cool. Yeah, we've got, I think, another movie night and all the outdoor stuff she's doing that's seems to be pretty popular. So that's great. Let's see. There was something else I was going to mention. I can't think of what it was now. Must not be too
She's
big
gonna
of a
have
deal.
magician, isn't she?
I'm not 100% sure. There's so much going on, I can't keep it all straight. There's just a ton of stuff. So that's going really well. And the South Dakota History Talks, which are streamed from the State Historical Society, we're getting a few people showing up to each of those. That's second Tuesday of the month, I think, from like 6 to 7:30 or something, 6 to 7. And it's usually authors who have a book coming out from the South Dakota Historical Society Press. And so they do a 1 hour lecture, well, not necessarily a lecture, but talk on whatever that subject is. So those are proving to be well attended enough, I think. The genealogy work group is actually meets on Saturdays, the first Saturday of the month, I think it is. They're done until September or October, I can't remember. And Music Speaks is done for the summer, but that'll get going again here in September, I think. There's a little leak in the City Hall water line as far as facility issues. I believe Judd knows about it. There's just a little drip that I'm sure they need to do a quick repair on. So I assume a plumber will be in. Doesn't really have an effect on anything. The flooring in the staff area is starting to bubble up behind the circulation desk now, more than it had in the past. So I was kind of hoping it wasn't going to get worse, but it's getting worse. So we'll have to see what we can do about that. Yeah.
So what are we thinking?
Well, I guess I need to ask city council for money to repair it.
Is it, but additional bubbling, is that for moisture in there, or just,
Well, I don't know. I assume it's just, over time, it's coming loose from the concrete floor. So whether it wasn't cemented down correctly, or it's just however many years old and I don't know. So.
Several locations, it looked like when I looked at it.
Well, yeah, it's in the back, there's that spot where it actually had cracked. And so we've got bare floor there, but now it's happening up front where we have the mats, the chair mats down, but now it's starting to happen around the chair mats as well. And I suspect it's just once it starts, it'll just keep going.
remind us what the bid was for that?
I can, 12,000, basically. 12,000 for, replacing the vinyl. Another 4,000 another 4,000 if we did the bathroom. And that's for removing the tile, which is the expensive part. So they bid it out separately. And that was in February. So I don't know,
Has that been presented to the council?
not yet. Not yet.
We need 3 bids
Right,
in all cases.
right,
I mentioned that too after you and I talked about it.
yes.
So you're hoping
Yeah.
to,
I was reminded of.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
and you probably need to get it presented to them before those bids might go up.
Well, yeah. When I talked to the guy at Freed's, because they were the ones that did the children's area, he said he said the bid's good for 30 days, but he said he didn't anticipate, he said if you do it within 6 months, it's not going to be that much more. So we're still ballpark, I would assume. I'm not sure who else. I think there's another place in Rapid, and then I don't know who will get the third bid from.
I wonder if Hills Interiors and Spearfish, or in Belfouche would look at it.
Perhaps, I don't know.
And that
don't know.
carpet buyer's outlet that's up
Right.
on Spearfish too.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because, well, yeah, anyway. Yeah, so we'll get more bids and then see what we can do about that. Or I can just rip it out one Sunday and we can have concrete for a while, yeah. With my luck, it won't all come up, and so then that'd be even worse,
A painting party.
yeah.
Jack of all trades.
So, yeah, so that will be the next kind of big thing. Other than that, for the most part, things are going really well, so, yeah, we're in good shape.
Okay.
Yeah, so there you go.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business.
So there isn't really anything to vote on, but I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about House Bill 1197, which is the obscenity bill, essentially, that was passed. There have been discussions there were some email threads going around between directors in the state on how best to implement this, because it's all meant to be done at a local level, so there won't be a state policy on how to implement this. And what it's looking like, the best way to enforce this is going to be by having something in our collection development policy, our circulation policy, and our internet usage policy that says we comply with the law and how we comply with the law. So in the case of, let me see, let's see. In the case of our sign-up card that people fill out if they're getting a kid's card, we do have a spot where the parent or guardian needs to sign saying that their child under 18 has their permission to use the library. So that's the first line of defense, is that the parents know if the kids have a card that they're accessing materials in the library. And then in the cardholder policy, I added a sample line that says a parent or guardian signing a library registration card for a minor accepts responsibility occasioned by the minor's use of the library, which is language that some other libraries have already. So that would be in the cardholder policy. And then in the collection policy, there are a couple of things. If you look at it, there's some stuff, and this is page 16 of the sheet. There's some stuff that's highlighted. That's stuff that's already in there about using materials by children, and that people have the right to question the material. And then right above that, in lighter print, is basically just putting in the new law that says, we restrict minors from accessing obscene material or matter. This is accomplished by not purchasing materials that fulfill that criteria, which is something that we already do. We're not in the business of seeking out obscene materials to get in the library. So it just clarifies that a little bit. And then if somebody wanted to question it, then there would need to be a challenge to determine if the title that the parent was objecting to was actually considered obscene. So they would go through the existing policy, the existing challenge policy, to make that determination on whether the material was actually obscene or not. And then if it was determined obscene, then we would take whatever step the committee decided. There's a committee that would decide that, and the committee is made up of, it's myself and I think the board president and one other person. Yes, it's done in town. And so so there's a challenge process that they would go through to determine it. And most libraries are feeling like that's going to be the best way to implement this.
That could be pretty controversial, I would think. Obscene to one person doesn't necessarily mean somebody else, but that's
Right.
But a local person has at least the information locally.
Well,
The thoughts.
yes, but it's also laid out in state law. It says that it predominantly appeals to the prurient, shameful, or morbid interest of minors, and is patently offensive to prevailing standards in the adult community as a whole, with respect to what is suitable material for minors, and is without serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. It has to meet all three of those criteria to be considered obscene. And so,
I can tell you from when I was in the state senate, I consider myself a Christian, and I saw people who are not as Christians, but things they could bring up. That wouldn't pass muster even in some churches. The things that they thought were obscene wouldn't be offensive to everybody.
Right.
So that it just would be it was always a concern to me that.
Well, and this comes back to parental control, because this is all about minor access. So if you feel like you go to the library and you're like, I don't want my kid looking at stuff that they have in the library, then it's your obligation to tell your kid, no, don't go into the library. Or I don't want you looking at this, or I don't want you looking at that. And that's parental responsibility. That's not the library's responsibility.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's the approach that libraries take as far as that material. So it's, and the process is, if you look at it, it's all very clear. And if somebody wants to challenge a title, there's a form they fill out, and then we look at it and we talk to them, and then we go from there.
Have you had to deal with that yet?
I have not,
This is
no.
new.
Well,
I mean, but you've been doing it, you already are not seeking out obscene material, I mean.
well, right, because, yeah, you know, we don't have I did have a couple summers ago, I had a woman come in and ask if we had a smut section in the library. And I said, yeah, we don't. She's like, okay. But yeah, we, you know, and, you know, part of that also relates to our collection is, fulfills the needs of our community. And so if there were a number of people that wanted material like that, then we would have to have a discussion about whether we want to have that material or not. You know,
Anybody
but,
that has a smut section?
not that I'm aware of, no, you know.
Not in the library.
Not, right, there aren't any library, although, you know, there was a time when libraries would subscribe to Playboy or probably even Penthouse, although I'm not sure that was everyone. But a subscription to Playboy would not have been uncommon in some libraries in the 70s, you know. So, you know, that would be about as, and some of the, you know, some of the fiction gets a little racy for some of our older patrons. And they, you know, and they have a specific kind of book that they like to read. And so, yeah. Yeah, so it's all, we have things in place already, and this is just making sure that we put in our policies that we are complying with state law. The computer internet policy gets a little, this one's a little harder to enforce, I think, frankly, just because you can kind of get anywhere from anywhere. You know, as often as we can update our blocked sites, there are ways that you can get around those and kind of go in a different way. So it's a little bit like playing whack-a-mole. And our filtering software keeps up with some of that. And so what I'm in the process of now is making sure that it's working correctly so the way we you know, keep minors from accessing obscene material is through our filtering software. Like I said, having said that, you can get places that you may not want to get. The issue you run into is if you raise the levels of security on your web filtering software, then you start to, the example that was used was somebody researching breast cancer. They're not going to be able to because any site that mentions breast is going to get blocked because you have your security level set too high. So then what you have to do is either have them come to you and say, hey, can you unblock whatever, and then they can do it, or again, it comes down to parental responsibility, you know. Yeah, so if you don't want your kid looking at the internet, then, you know, talk to them and, you know, and then go from there. But, you know, we had a parent that came in just yesterday that was concerned their kid was playing a computer game. We're like, well, it's there. Yeah, but he got in trouble, so he's, you know, he can't play video games at home. Okay. Well, but see, that's the thing. We're not their parents, so you know, and we can't really police that. That's not, you know, what we're there to do. So, so we try to keep them as safe as we can, and you know, we're not. And that's basically what we're trying to do. So I think these changes that we're putting in there are good. And will do. There's still discussion about it. The South Dakota Library Association has contacted the American Library Association's Office of Intellectual Freedom and are getting some feedback from them about how they think the best way to implement this would be. And then there's a state library convention in September, that there may be a meeting at that, or there may be a webinar before that to talk about it and make sure that libraries have the tools they need that are gonna work with that. So that's where we're at with that. It's, there's nothing, like I said, nothing for us to vote on yet because we're still processing how we're gonna make sure that this, fulfills the requirements. And that's it. That's all I got.
Okay,
Well done.
Thanks.
very good. So we have no new business.
Mm-mm.
And,
Unless you guys have something.
yeah, anything? And you said we probably don't have anything to go to an executive session for?
No, there's nothing.
Not at this time?
Nope.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Hello?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed?